Have you and your spouse had a hard time getting on the same page lately and just communicating in general? Then you cannot miss what I'm about to share right here in this video. Now, I don't know about you guys, but 2020 was hard. It was a challenging year, I think, for almost everyone in the world. We all started, I think, 2021 with these great, hopeful expectations, and that was definitely my family. But I'll tell you, my husband and I, we got off to a rough start. We had some challenges come our way, we had some things gone missing, and we just all of a sudden had to hit the brakes and be like, what? What's going on? What are we doing wrong? We realized that sometimes, no matter how great your communication is, there are always rooms, always spaces for improvement. There are just some things we can't overlook, or we had been overlooking, and it was time to get back on the same page and time to get back to what was important in our relationship: communication. And we know sometimes firsthand that it's not even conscientious. It's not even something that you realize is blocking your relationship. And so my husband and I came up with these 4 simple questions that you and your partner can go through together to help you guys get through any mental blocks that may be in your way in your relationship. First up is ask the question, what or where do you find yourself holding back? What areas are you maybe afraid to talk about? In a relationship that is one like marriage, you want to be completely real and raw and vulnerable. And in order to do that, you must first do that with yourself. So we'd encourage for you and your spouse to go ahead, answer this question first and foremost for yourself, what's holding you back? And then maybe a follow-up question would be, what is holding you both back in your relationship from moving forward in deeper intimacy? And question number 2 is, what behavior have you changed or altered or no longer do at all because someone else gave you slack about it? This can be a challenging one because sometimes these behaviors that we've altered or changed happened way before we can even remember. Maybe it was a parent, a grandparent, a cousin, a brother or sister, someone who just didn't like a certain behavior or a certain way you said something, that it gets ingrained in our hearts and our soul that we're not supposed to do that and that's wrong. After a few decades, or even a few years in this world, we all get on someone's nerves at some point, and eventually that gets to a point where someone tells us something we do is wrong. And we think it's important that you would talk about these things once you come to acknowledge them in your own heart. Talk about them with your spouse. More than likely, there may be some areas that you may feel may bother your spouse, that your spouse may get offended, that it's not the case, that it may just be more of an old wound coming out rather than something your spouse actually personally feels about. And question number 3 might be a little bit more of a rhetorical question, but it's, would you want your spouse or your partner to forgive you while you're processing your old wounds? I think we would all say absolutely. It's very hard to acknowledge things that are going on deep within, and sometimes the processing, the letting them out and allowing them to heal time period can be really hard and really challenging. This is a time when we would want our spouse or our partner to be the most understanding, to be the most open. This rhetorical question is really meant to go a little bit deeper and bring up the acknowledgement that we would want our spouse to forgive or to allow us to make some mistakes as we're healing from old wounds. We should also give that to our spouse as well. This question is a good one to go through with your spouse and maybe go a little bit deeper and ask, what are some old wounds that you're going through or growing through, and in what ways can I help you get through them? And the last question we have for you today, number 4, is simply, how do you define team? This is one that you can go through no matter how long you've been together with someone, whether you've been together for 1 year or for 20 years. It's something that we have seen that is defined differently by everyone and sometimes gets a little redefined as your situations change, circumstances change. Maybe you and your spouse all of a sudden have a different job, requires one of you to be out of the house more. Children change the definition of the household and what a family is, and so sometimes that definition of team changes a little bit too. And it's important that you and your spouse define it together, that you come on the same page together, and it's something that you can move forward with. Asking, what are the expectations from this marital team? What are the things that are very important to you and lay them out before one another. And we promise that your intimacy will just skyrocket and just be an opportunity to help you guys navigate the future more so not separate but together as a team. There you go, guys. Those are some deep, heavy questions. So we're just going to leave you with 4 of them today. We've actually written them out in the comments below so that you can go ahead and maybe print them off or go over them with your spouse. If you guys have other questions that you've learned to be helpful, please share them away. They'll definitely benefit our marriage, but we also love to reshare and share with the world all the insights that we get from you, our listeners, and our valued followers. So please share away. And most of all, here's a big cozy hug from the Claymans here through the screen. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys would just hit the subscribe button so you guys don't miss any of our future episodes, and go check us out at our website, theclaymans.com, where you'll find tons of resources just like this to help your family blend together well and move forward into a healthier and happier future. We love you guys so much. From our fairy tale here to yours, wherever you're at, we love you, and have an absolutely beautiful day.